Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. I'd like to begin with Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Good evening. So first off, any public comments? Seeing none, any correspondence?
No.
We are going to forego the first selectman report, and we're going to add some things to the agenda. So first off, I'm going to make motions to add 4 items to the agenda. First, the first item will be, at the end. It'll be consideration of recommending the highway chassis, new highway chassis to the Board of Finance. Do I have a motion to accept that on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, and I'll just make a motion to add for consideration of appointment of Charles Andrews from Barclay Damon LLP to represent the town of Bethel in the Board of Zoning Appeals case, 42 Nashville Road. You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. I'd like to make a motion that we approve an emergency easement. Actually, I apologize for consideration of approval of emergency easement onto the agenda. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And finally, consideration of a ARPA request from the Bethel Fire Department. I didn't have a total here.
It's 2 different accounts, that's why I didn't total it.
Okay,
One's
yeah, so it'll,
fire, one's EMS.
okay. So for $1,507.10 for the fire department and $3,428 from the EMS or for the EMS from the original $150,000 allocation. 2. And all in favor of putting those agenda? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, those are the items added. So getting to the agenda. First item, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes to the regular meeting minutes from July 18th, 2023. So
Second.
any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. On the agenda, we have a continuation of consideration of approval of mobile license plate readers for Bethel Police Department. Can I have a motion for discussion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So last time we were around, we had some questions whether or not if we leased the license plate reader, a license plate reader, whether or not it would be covered by insurance. Marty, you're online there. Did you ever get that information back that you were waiting for from Kerma?
Yes, I got the information from Kerma almost right away. It's the information from the supplier that I haven't got.
Okay, I have that backwards.
I've had conversations, but the representative, a woman, she's not clear and she's still waiting to hear back from somebody. But Kerma said whether we lease or we purchase it, whether it's mobile or not, it's considered personal property of the towns and it would be covered under our policy, and there's $1,000 deductible. So I take that to mean, and I gave him the example that, you know, you're worried that it might be damaged through vandalism or might be run over by another car, and he said it's not a problem, it would be covered. Now, when I presented this to the organization who's attempting to sell us this, the representative at first said she really didn't know. And then I called her back when I didn't hear from her again. She was going to check, and we missed each other, but she left me a text message. And she said she talked to somebody and that it was her belief that what it was that if we leased it, If we bought it, obviously it's our problem. If we leased it, it depends on what kind of damage that was done to it. And she gave an example of like being struck by lightning. And I get the impression that what she's saying was, if it was an act of God, then they would come and they would fix it and take care of it. But if it's not an act of God, it's our problem. That's the impression I got. She hasn't officially said that, but that was the impression I got from the message that she left me. She said she's going to get back to me, but who knows? That's it.
Okay. With respect to the lease, Marty, when Kerma said it would be like personal property, then if it were leased, it would still be our personal property and the insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see it. Let me see if I got the here. What I was told was regardless of whether they purchase or lease, we would put it on the mobile and contractor schedule. And if leased, we would remove once the lease ends. So if you lease it, they're just going to put it on the list of equipment. And if you don't, once the lease ends, they're just going to remove it. So it is covered by our insurance.
Thank you.
So the question is, we lease it or we purchase it?
Or maybe the question is, do we leave it up to the Board of Finance to determine? For one, recommend that we lease or purchase.
But Brian, you had mentioned about leasing it for the year to see how it goes.
I would just like to see how effective it is, and this
Yeah.
company, they're not gonna wanna use a piece of equipment back, they may just say, look, we'll let you buy it at the end of the year for
Yeah.
whatever, we approach them like,
Yeah.
it was fine, can we purchase this at the end of the year, it met our standards.
So let's make the recommendation.
Yeah.
to lease it.
I think so. Okay, so I would take a motion to recommend we lease the license plate reader for a total of $4,889 to be passed to the Board of Finance.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right. With respect to continuation discussion of meeting policies, I'd like to continue the table, leave them on the table, if that's okay.
So move.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. I don't think we were taking the motions, it's still on the table, but next up, I'd like to move that we accept the Bethel Healthcare Director grant to implement the Connecticut BPH immunization grant in a total of $47,516. Have a second?
Second.
So as you see in your packet here, this is an opportunity that the DPH is looking to find basically information. It's more of a survey to see, whether or not folks are actually immunized in our community. It actually takes care of everything we would want, all the assessment work, media, because they're going to go out and hire a marketing firm to actually market this. And the idea is that we're able to look at our community and see whether or not our folks are actually immunized, and to the extent it covers all the vaccines for COVID-19 for children. It also has my understanding is it covered other vaccines, but I'm not seeing it on the public health for here.
Are we okay that we're gonna be passed the July 31st deadline?
I'm told we are. Yeah, we're because everything has been put in for it, and that everything has to be expended in 2024. So any other further discussion? Pretty straightforward. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, consideration of approval for a defined benefit plan. So I'd like to make a motion to discuss, consider approval of resolution to change the defined benefit plan for classified employees of the town of Bethel to whom it applies, and the changes from 35 years of contributions to 37 years of service.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of discussion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So what I have here is I think you all have in front of you is a resolution. We had talked about this before. This aligns, kind of the same thing we've done with the unions. And we had to put this in resolution form. So I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution into the record. Whereas the retirement plan for employees of the town of Bethel, the town employee plan, requires non-union employees in classified service who are active participants, the non-union participants, to contribute 6% of base pay. And whereas the non-union participants' obligation to make mandatory employee contributions to the town employee plan does not cease until the participant has made 35 years of contributions. And whereas pursuant to collective bargaining effective June 7th, 2023, mandatory employee contributions for members of local 1303-188 Highway Department cease once a plan member has accrued 37 years of credited service under the town employee plan. And whereas the first selectman has recommended that non-union participants be provided a similar cap on mandatory employee contributions to the town employee plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the retirement plan for employees of the town of Bethel be amended effective on the date of this resolution to permit non-union participant mandatory employee contributions to cease upon the completion of 37 years of credited service. And it is further resolved that all action deemed appropriate and recommended by the council, by council, to the town to effectuate the foregoing resolution, including but not limited to the execution of any further planned amendments or other documents as may be necessary or advisable to effectuate the foregoing resolution is hereby authorized. Have you gentlemen remember this primarily folks actually affects Bobby in when folks get to a certain point in their time, they're still contributing to the pension, but they're actually not able to get anything out of it. So it's actually, we're taking money out of their pocket. This resolves that situation. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Actually, I apologize because I did not make a formal motion.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. So. I'd like to make a motion for consideration that we recommend to the Board of Finance to purchase 2 chassis for the Highway Department from CNR, the total amount of $257,273. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. So for discussion, Bobby, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. Yeah, but without reading down through the whole thing for you is, we've been trying to get these chassis purchased for a few years now, and between everything between Peterbilt, Maffei, Bruce trucks, and so on and so forth with the truck business, finally we're here with a production code number for 2 chassis. And the cost does include the dump body package, the plow hitch, hydraulic system, pumps, controls, and the hydraulics are warning light package, paint on the dump body, all that stuff. So complete truck. We do get a 15% discount off the source well, which is 25 grand on each truck. And we also have some money down on the bottom there that we've already appropriated, towards these 2 chassis. So, it's the cost for 2 trucks is $488,000. It's a lot of money. But that's where they are. Peterbilt and all the truck manufacturers won't price anything until they have a production code for the vehicle. But I think we've done it is, money wise, I think we've done the best we could in getting a decent truck and a body package. We're pleased with the body package, the same body package on 3 trucks we purchased so far, and then the issue with it. It's reasonably local with Terryville. Peterbilt trucks have been fine. I don't know if you guys got any questions or anything like that. So it's kind of money wise, everything is pretty good there.
So we already have some of this money approved in capital non-recurrent from past budgets.
Yep.
So the 257,000 is to just get us current.
Money wise, yep.
Correct. And we had already discussed this.
I had no
prior
idea.
meeting. Yeah. So, yeah, I make a motion. Well, unless Richie.
Yeah, I have a question. Have we already purchased a chassis?
No, I have production codes for them. So what that means is as soon as we allocate the money, right? I should be able to have my chassis in mid to end of September. Something
So
like that.
Didn't we take ARPA funds to buy a chassis?
No, I thought we bought, didn't we buy the loader?
The loader and the last chassis for 128 was on, I think, ARPA money.
Right.
But it was December 20th, if you go back to the meeting minutes.
This was,
I believe it was,
Your
third
third
truck.
truck. But you're waiting for it.
No, it's just two trucks. This is one from 2021. So we allocated 102,000 for, which we never got. Because of all the issues with purchasing. Not us personally, but the market. And then we approved another one at the end of December.
Eric, when was that approved, that money?
the meeting on December 20th, 2022.
And
You go
that
back
was,
to,
and that was the ARPA funds, correct?
I thought it was CNR. I don't have the minutes in front of me.
My only question is, fix them if they were ARPA funds.
I thought we used the ARPA funds for the loader. Didn't we buy a loader, Bob?
Yes.
I thought we used the ARPA funds for the loader, and because this was already in capital non-reoccurring. That was my recollection that we used ARPA for the loader.
When we presented the truck chassis with the loader, we had no idea what the pricing was gonna be. We knew people had a list price at that point. They had a discount from Sourcewell on it, but they wouldn't price the truck for purchase at that point. So we just recommended, hey, we think the truck is gonna be this much money. When we get to the point where we have the production codes for the chassis, we will know what our price is.
Yeah, I thought the chassis, Rich, was out of capital non-reoccurring and the loader was out of.
Okay, all right.
I might be, I mean, Mary's, she'll let us know right now. She's got it right here, but that's what I thought we agreed on. I could be wrong.
So I'll tell you what, how about, I'll take a motion to lay this on the table for a moment and move on to the next.
Yeah,
item.
okay.
Well, Mary looks it up. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, so it's on the table. We'll come back to it. All right.
You got it there, Bob? It says CNR sheet reflects below amount 128,810. So Mary, look,
So we'll come right back to that. So, all right. I'm gonna actually make the motion on this, so it's a full motion. I move that we accept an emergency access easement. It's an update to 42 Star Lane. We have a second?
Second discussion.
And yes, we can discuss. So basically what's happened here, on the last page, like labeled number 4, is the old map. Number 1 is the old easement. Basically been connecting Star Lane and Stack Road. There is an emergency access easement and basically it was built. Unfortunately, they found out after a sale that it wasn't built quite the way they thought it was going to be on the easement. And now we're in a situation where we need to get an owner, the newest owner of the property, to sign the updated easement, which is labeled number 3, the map. The best way to describe it is there's arrows to the revised area. And instead of, making a nice gentle curve, it's more of a sharp turn. That's really what is affecting the easement. So the idea is that we're going to go and we're going to have a 3-way easement for emergency access to Star, between Stack and Star. So Marty, do you want to add anything to that? Did I butcher that, or am I right on point?
No, it's pretty much what happened. I mean, the first easement was already done. It was approved by the Board of Selectmen way back when. It was approved by Planning and Zoning. Planning and Zoning doesn't have an issue. They approved it though, just like you said, before it was actually built. Then they built it. And I believe what happened was when they actually sold the property, I don't know if somebody had an updated map, take a look, found out that it wasn't in the same place that was indicated on the map. So they've redone the map, and now that we got a new owner, we're doing the new owner. And other than that, it's pretty much identical.
Is there a gate to prevent normal traffic from going down that road?
Um,
I don't think there's a gate up there. I think you can drive right through.
Right through the Stack Road.
I think under the original, you have to remember that this amended easement refers back to the original easement. It only changes certain terms of the original easement. And I think if you look in the original easement, I sent over a copy. I think the town had the right to do that.
Marty, was this at the homeowner?
Number, if you look at the original easement that was recorded, when the hell was it recorded?
The
It was
original easement's number
2013. If you look on the original easement, if you look at number 6, it says the easement area shall be obstructed with a gate, fence, or chain to be constructed by Gamma or its successor and entitle it their sole cost and expense, and provide the keys and access codes to the town for such gate, fence, or chain. Whether or not it's been done, I don't know. I'm assuming it has. And what would happen is we would end up having to figure it out for sure.
Is that language in the same,
Yeah, if you look at the amended easement, you'll see what it says is that if you look at number 2 on the second page of it, it says the terms and conditions of the original easement shall otherwise remain in full force and effect. So the only thing that's changed is the ownership and the map, the reference to the map and the description. Other than that, all the terms of the original easement are to remain. And I mean, well, Eric probably doesn't know off the top of his head, but what I can do is I can certainly call to find out if anything's been constructed or not. And if so, do we have the keys to get in there and get out?
Marty, was this at our request or the homeowner's request?
This was to be honest with you, I think it was at the developer's request. At some point, they discovered that they had a problem after they recorded it. And in the meantime, they went ahead and sold the property. So that's why the owners are the ones, they're going to sign off on it because they're now the legal owners of the lot that the easement transposes over.
Now, have they asked for any monetary considerations?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so.
We're not giving any.
Yeah,
This was
I'm just saying they're agreeing to the way it's written.
Yeah, this was an agreement between the attorney representing the developer and the attorney and the individual owners of this property now. And it's part of the subdivision approval. If we don't have this, then what happens is they got a problem with their subdivision.
no, my only concern was, that people want to be using it for a shortcut from Star Lane to Putnam Park Road, going down Stack Road there, so. Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna hazard a guess and say, if you look at the map, this access way is also used as part of the driveway for the owners.
Yeah,
Happens is at one point where their driveway cuts off to their home, you'll see it go, I think, was it going to Star Lane? No.
Yeah.
Steck Road. It goes on to Steck Road. So what'll happen is if they have a gate, I'm assuming that's where the gate is. It's so small, it's very difficult for me to read. But I can certainly find out whether or not it's been constructed or not. It should be constructed, so by this point.
Stack Road's not much of a shortcut.
Yeah.
Stack Road.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And Steck Road's a private road, I believe, too. So,
Yeah.
Driving down that road.
okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, so all in favor of accepting the emergency access agreement for 43 Star Lane? Aye. Opposed? See none, motion carries. Next up, I'll make the motion. Okay. I'll make the motion for to consider ARPA funding for the Bethel Fire Department in the amount of $1,507.10 for the fire account and $3,428 for the EMS account for discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Chief.
So the first request is to fill out rope equipment because budgetary prices, you know, they went up by the time it gets approved. So that's the difference. We had 4,000 as a line item in the budget. It jumped to 5,500. So that finishes out all the replacement rope equipment. We did some last year. You know, we got this year, and then there's just like little odds and ends that we'll be able to just replace through the budget. And that's last year was the rescue truck, and this year is squad and the ladder truck. They have less equipment on them, rope equipment on them than the rescue. That's why the rescue was from last.
Marty, supplanting of funds isn't an issue for an approved budget item.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Supplanting of funds an issue when we approved the budget and there was an increase in the budget from the time it was approved. So the cost went up $1,500 or short. Is this something that really should come out of CNR? I mean, are we in any danger of supplanting of funds?
Well, let me, where did this come out of the budget originally? Was it a regular budget item?
It's a regular, it's in a regular account.
Okay,
Okay,
Then-
so, you know, it was all approved, but obviously from the time we start with our budgets, getting prices, till the time it finally gets approved, it's jumped.
So was it in operating or was it in capital? This
No,
would be an operating,
it's in the regular budget.
it's in your operating budget, so this is every year you buy these ropes?
No, that's what I was just explaining, is last year we did the replacement on the rescue truck. This year, we do the replacement on squad 5 and the ladder truck, and then we're good for, you know, probably 15 years.
I understand,
You stagger it out, so you don't replace them all at once.
I get it, but. So do you know what line it was in your operating budget? Because I would just imagine that we would have done this in capital because it's a non-reoccurring expense. And it would have fallen under capital, because if, you know, well, sure, think about it, because if you're not doing it every year, your budget's askew every year. You know,
I put it where I'm told to put it.
no, I understand, I'm not arguing with you, I just want to
No, I'm
make sure
just saying
that
it's-
we're. You know,
All I
because
can tell you is I put it where they told me to put it, and I was told it wasn't gonna be CNR because it wasn't.
I just wonder whether we need to pay this from CNR. Obviously, they need the ropes. I just don't want to get into trouble with the Fed saying we're supplanting funds.
It's like we did tires out of CNR because it was,
I get it.
you know, a lot of money for the tires.
Do you have a miscellaneous equipment? Like, was this under a miscellaneous? Like, maybe you have that in your operating budget and it falls there? I mean, that could be a
It
possibility.
could, the way you construct the budget, the way the budgets have always been constructed is. You're doing separate accounts and you're lining out what you're getting. And then you have the latitude to move it around as long as it's not capital. If it's capital, we have to come to you gentlemen and say, we'd like to spend it on this instead of that. In the form of a written letter and a formal request where I would have to appear before you. But there's no capital in the actual operating budget. There's none.
But there
It hasn't been
must be
for-
some sort of there must be some sort of equipment line or various equipment line in your operating budget.
Yeah, but there used to be capital in the budget. There used to be a capital page in the budget. There is no longer. There hasn't been in years, but it's been quite a few years now where it was just stopped. Why, I don't know. You know, I have no idea.
So Marty, the question is, can we take the $1,500 from ARPA to offset his?
I'm sure you can, but if it was me, I'd send it back to the Board of Finance and ask them what they think. I mean, you know, no one's gonna point a finger at you if you spend the money out of the ARPA funds, especially for fire apparatus or equipment. But I mean, there's confusion here as to where the hell it came from. And I think you gotta find out where it came from first before you actually make a decision.
You're gonna get the ropes. We just have to make sure we're doing it properly.
Yes, that's right. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
They
we
should
don't
have
want
the
to get
ropes.
into trouble with the federal government saying, excuse me. Like, I can see if they're asking for 5,500 out of ARPA, it's a new purchase, but the fact that we had 4,000 in an operating budget. And now you're asking 1,500 to cover the shortfall. On other grants, that would be considered supplanting of funds. Then you could get into big trouble with that, with the federal government, so. I mean, obviously, we're gonna get you your rope. We don't want you not to have what you need, we just don't wanna risk everything, so. I mean, maybe we need to talk to Brad about it, because Brad would
Yes,
know.
exactly.
I mean, if Brad says. I mean, could we make the approval based on, Brad Herring, or do we want to wait until the next meeting?
I think,
What would you recommend, Marty? Or Dan, what do you want to do? What do you
Well, it's
want?
up to you. I think it's up to what the board wants to do. Like
well,
I
I mean,
said,
the other thing is for expediency, we could send this on to the Board of Finance. Their meeting is next week.
Next
Okay.
week, next Tuesday.
And this, we can amend the motion, we can make this out of CNR, pass it to the Board of Finance, and then handle the other one.
That sounds good to me.
I just want to get them in paid.
I get it.
Sure.
We get
I
it.
think it's
We totally get it.
good call to make sure.
Yeah, we'll just make sure we're on good
so-
grounds.
So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to amend, well, actually, we did it for discussion, so I would like to make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Finance to fund the fire department for rope replacement in the amount of $1,507.10 out of CNR.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Maybe just give them a brief explanation why, so they understand why we're doing it.
Yeah. I wrote no fund supplant.
Yeah,
supplant
we
funds.
don't want to supplant.
It's an excellent
That's a good point.
call, you know? Okay. The other item, chief, for the EMS account.
Right, that's, church, it's clothing.
Yeah.
Just like Chief Baker, asked for funding for jackets, I think, so. Our EMS is doing, shirts for everybody that's certified EMS is doing EMS. What you have there is the first, it's ordered in two parts. So I put them together, so you understand it's the full amount is what I requested, but only half of it's gonna get paid right away. And then when they do the second order, when that comes in, then that'll get paid. And those are hard numbers. I made sure to ask if the number is the numbers. Yes. And she's got plenty of money in the account still.
Very not part of this, but do you buy any kind of uniforms for fire police?
We could,
I just know if you did.
I mean, once again, there you go with, maybe we need to put another line item in the budget for certain things like that. Because, they're out there with us day and night.
Yeah.
And, there's some stuff that we get done, but we could probably do more. And there's actually people that have joined to be fire police recently. Both departments, so it's good. It's a good thing.
Well, they stand out in the rain a lot.
Yeah, it frees up a couple officers to go back into their sectors instead of staying with us, doing traffic.
One day you'll get me, once I forget that I did it for 27 years.
Don't worry, we'll help you with no problem. I think you'll have an issue, Richard.
Yeah, would you like to make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve the clothing, I'm gonna say clothing allotment for the Bethel Fire Department in the amount of $3,428.
Second.
Yeah, and may I amend your motion to, it's actually for the EMS.
Oh, for me, yes, okay, I'm sorry.
Is that for the amendment?
Correct.
I second the amended motion.
Excellent. All in favor? Go ahead, Marty.
Oh, Mario, what?
Alright,
I was gonna say, are you taking out of ARPA?
Yeah, for EMS.
Yes,
we
yeah,
are.
we should,
Yes.
thank you. Do you want to just redo the whole motion to remind that we're taking it out of ARPA for EMS?
out of the ARPA funds. Let's start over. I'll make a
Yeah.
motion that we approve the clothing allotment in the amount of $3,428 for the Bethel Fire. No, for the EMS account. Or
That's right.
to take out of the ARPA funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Let me ask Chris a quick question.
Of course.
Is the EMS a separate entity of the Bethel Fire Department, or is it part of the Bethel Fire Department?
Everything's together a couple parts.
So it's Bethel Fire
It's
Department.
just like Stony Hill,
Well, we,
EMS.
yeah, We had divvied up the two,
Yeah.
like we
Yeah,
did.
you-
Right,
you-
Barbara,
which
you-
is good, because
We're
we've
tracking
been
them
able to-
separately.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like-
you're right. I guess we moved it away.
You know, like the EMS side, we were able to get the stretchers. Tony Hill was able to get the stretcher and that power lift. They're very, very expensive and we got in early. And actually have our equipment. Tony Hill's just waiting on the stretcher. They have the power.
So I'd like to make a motion that we take from the table, reconsider the two highway chassis we were just speaking of. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, so I have the information here that Mary got us that on the December 20th meeting of 2022, indeed, there was a consideration and a for the motion was made by acting first Straighten, recorded by, second by Sergeant Terzian, to forward to the Board of Finance for approval, $365,000 to purchase one chassis and one loader from CNR. So that was our answer, that it was not done from ARPA before. I can remake the actual motion of what we're accepting if there's not further discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to just know, is this coming from ARPA or CNR?
This is coming from CNR.
Okay.
And basically the total additional amount is $257,273. Right? Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion just to make it easy. I move that we recommend to the Board of Finance that we purchase the two chassis from CNR in the amount of $257,273, which was the additional funding to the earlier request. Second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh,
Wait, Dan, just to clarify, do you mean bodies, not chassis? I don't know if Bob is still there
I
to
said,
clarify.
so these are truck chassis. Was this
Okay.
Jesse and body.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay, so I'll, before we vote on it, I will amend the motion to say two complete chassis and truck body packages for Peterbilt trucks. Okay, and the additional amount from CNR, $257,000, $257,273.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Sometimes you get these cut, it's difficult with those, so. That was the last item on our agenda.
Make a motion.
excuse me.
Yes, we have something else?
You had added something.
So we added, oh, thank you,
Appointment
thank you,
for-
we have right past, thank you. Right past on the agenda, thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, so I'll just make the motion. I move that we appoint Charles Andrus from Barclay Damon LLP to represent the town of Bethel in the Board of Zoning Appeals case for 42 Nashville Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thanks for catching that, Mary. We're right by it on the additional agenda.
Mary, can I make a motion to adjourn now?
You may.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, we're adjourned.
And
Thank you,
writer
everybody.
screen.
Yeah.
Rewrite.
Go ahead, Brian.
Good, yes, sure.
I got it.
Thank you, everyone.
Get to work, Brian.